Hello, how the tech are you? This is our weekly tech show on Echoplex Media. We talk about science and tech news and whatever science-y or tech-related stuff we feel like talking about. I'm historian Matt. I usually talk about whatever tech news we got out there. Oftentimes it's AI, since I did a lot of AI previously, sometimes energy and EV type stuff. But today I've got AI, and I only got one topic today, and that is Googlers say Bard AI is worse than useless. And this is so people who worked at Google were talking about Google's answer to Chat GPT, Bard AI, before it came out. So HK is still on an adventure. Hopefully he'll be back next week. So the other guy with the mic.
Hey, I'm Dave. I'm the producer of all the shows here on Echoplex Media, and now I am going to be streaming, I believe, 7 nights a week, twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. This week I have two stories. I have Ubuntu 23.04 drops, and there's some interesting stuff there, and because there's always a Twitter story, Twitter is signing dead celebrities up to the Twitter Blue subscription service. So, fun times. They're acting like the Mormons. Anyway, take it away, Matt.
All right. Pretty quick. Again, so before Google launched Bard, Googler, which is, so Bard is Google's answer to ChatGPT, as I said earlier. But Google employees had a chance to try it out. They messed around with it, ran it through its paces, and basically warned of all the problems that we're seeing today with stuff like ChatGPT and Bard, if you can actually get access to it at the moment. So some of the examples that they had in this article, I got a couple of them here. I'll have them linked in the show notes for later. But a couple of examples are somebody asked, how to land a plane, and Bard gave incorrect instructions that could have caused a crash. And then another person asked about some scuba instructions. It wasn't clear on what the instructions were specifically, but instead of Bard saying, I don't know, or I have to look that up or something like that, Bard gave directions that could lead to injury or even death. Not good. But so a lot of the Googlers, all these Googlers were saying to the management, basically, don't release this as it is. You got to work on it and fix these issues. But of course, Google ignored all their complaints and the ethics issues, even fired some of the ethics leaders we talked about previously, so ethics leaders at the company. And it's all because Google was rushing to release its answer to ChatGPT. And so that has led to a system with ethical issues and could even lead to injury or death if you follow instructions that are not good. So what do you think, Dave, about that?
I don't know. I guess I don't feel sorry for them. It's not like Google is out there like all alms for the poor. If they end up not being one of the big players in AI, like at least right away, I don't see why that's such a big problem for such a massive company that has so many different products and services that they offer to people, and they're making a profit on them.
Yeah. I think part of it's kind of an identity thing. Google as a whole kind of thinks of itself as an AI company. It's done that for a really long time. Like the entire time I worked at Google, they kind of thought of themselves as AI company. And then all of a sudden this upstart comes in and, steals their thunder. Everybody's using the Chat GPT. So even though they were working, behind the scenes on a similar thing, but yeah, in their rush, my biggest concern is in their rush to get their own version out, they've released something that's potentially dangerous.
Well, I think that, with these large language models, you would think that a company like Google would just at the very top of the thing be like, hey, this is a large language model, that'll answer your questions, but, do not, some version of do not take these results as gospel, or, fact check anything that is important. Right now this is an entertainment product. I'd just be like, for now, this is an entertainment product. If you find any of the entertainment you get from this especially troubling, here's an email address. I don't see why it would be a problem to to do it that way.
Yeah, fair enough. I really hope anybody using these things at least thinks of it that way and doesn't take anything it says as truth. And hopefully, I mean, you shouldn't be asking, from what I can tell you shouldn't be asking about either how to do things or, to explain something, something factually, because both ChatGPT and Bard seem to be getting that stuff wrong all the time. And it'd be better if it just said, here's a link to more info on it. You know what I mean? Like a regular search, but instead it tries to answer everything and it's getting stuff wrong. So take anything you get from either of these systems with a very, very large grain of salt, right?
Well, you'd think too, if it was detecting that you were asking a technical question, that it could say, hey, this is highly technical. And if you need to do any of these things, you might want to consult an expert. And here's what, and then go, here's the best answer we could find. And at the end, once more say, but you were going to have to consult an expert.
Yeah.
I am but a humble large language model.
Yeah. Or, if it's something that you linked online, it's like, here is a link to an expert that has maybe some articles on it or something.
Yeah. How to scuba dive? The answer is go to scuba school.
Yeah. Well, the question wasn't very clear in the article and what was actually asked. It just said like instructions on scuba diving. So it could be something that they're doing, underwater or something, or some special kind of dive or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
anyways, go to school.
Yeah, go to scuba. Our advice on scuba is go to scuba school.
Yeah.
Plus, like when I went, I had to take a short class for scuba diving when I went to Hawaii, and the class was hella fun. Like it was a fun class. You got to learn. Like it wasn't boring. Like
right.
I might have just been the instructor and the other people there, but everybody was like laughing and having a good time, and like I guess it helps when the water's like 78 degrees. Everybody's in a little better mood, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess don't get your advice from these AIs. Our position here is that they are for entertainment purposes only, and and if you are using them in research, use them as a starting point. Use them as a place to jump off.
Right, like Wikipedia, right? Don't use that as a source of truth, even though it seems to be a lot better than these things, but it's a good starting point in any kind of research.
Yeah, and as far as Wikipedia goes, I mean, it's fairly accurate, but you're getting like a surface level on things. You're not getting a paper on things. And good thing about Wikipedia too, though, at the bottom there's just a giant list of like where they got their information, so that you can go through and click through there and learn more. And I don't think these bots are doing that. It'd be pretty neat though if one day when they include like hyperlinks in their answer, that'd be pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Especially if you find that the hyperlink completely contradicts what the AI is telling you.
Yeah.
It's like when a conspiracy theorist posts a link to a study on Twitter to like prove you wrong, and then you go read the abstract of the study and you're like, hey bro, the abstract says the opposite of what you're saying. Because then you can go back to it and go, hey, the link you gave me just says the opposite of what you just told me, and see if you can get the AI mad at you. So yeah, it's I don't think it's crucial for Google to have this right away. I think that they're like a legacy tech company. Maybe they could take a more Apple-esque approach at this, where, they're not going to be the first, but when their AI comes out, it's going to be better. And that's sort of how Apple does things now. They weren't the first smartwatch, but when it came out, it was better than other people's smartwatches.
Yeah.
They weren't the first set-top box, but when it came out, a lot of people thought it was better than other people's set-top box. That kind of stuff. But Google has always sort of been that other company that wants to be first at everything. And I just think at this point, they're just too big to be first. I think that they're not nimble anymore, and that's fine. It's just a mature company. You don't see IBM out there all mad that they're not first at anything. They're just sitting there counting money, So
yeah.
And just be careful with AI, everybody. It's not really there to answer your questions. It doesn't even know what it's talking about. All right. Well, I guess it's my turn. I got two. One that I care about, sort of. This week on April 20th, Elon would be proud. Ubuntu 23.04 dropped. It is not an LTS release. Most people will not use it. I put it on the laptop that I carry around because I always keep it on the current version just to kind of see what's going on. Do not have it on my production machine that we're using to create this program. If you could imagine that, I'm on the LTS. I'm on the 22.04 LTS, and I will be on the 22.04 LTS until a year after the 24.04 LTS comes out. So, the Ubuntu 23.04, all the flavors have kernel 6.2. There's only 9 months of support, but if you're on the sort of path I am on my laptop, you can just upgrade to 23.10 in October when that comes out. So no problem there. There's a new installer, which I have no experience with. One, because I'm on the KDE version, the Kubuntu version, and two, because I just upgraded in place from where I was at. So I didn't do a fresh install. But everybody said it's better. So that's good. The standard Ubuntu gets a GNOME 44, which is a big update actually for a lot of people. Again, I'm on KDE, so I didn't get to see it. And snap packages, which everybody loves, now update automatically in the background when the application is closed. And of course, you can turn this off if you are worried about it breaking something, though I haven't ever had like snap packages break my system by updating. They're actually sandboxed and they can't really break your system. So Matt, are you on an Ubuntu machine of any kind?
Currently, I am not. This machine is not set up with Ubuntu. I'm kind of kicking myself because I wish I partitioned it and put Ubuntu on it and had dual boot here, but I really can't do that now because this hard drive is completely full. Probably of junk. I could probably fix it up, but on my laptop, I do have Ubuntu. I dual boot there, and I'm pretty happy with it. I use it most of the time, and I just have Windows on that machine to play video games, right? Anything that doesn't run or I can't get to run in Ubuntu. I think I could probably get more stuff running if I tried hard enough. But it looks interesting. So it sounds like you haven't run into any issues with it so far.
No, but I mean, the laptop that I'm running it on, I don't really do anything on. It sits there and monitors chat on Twitch, or if I have to go somewhere on light rail, I'll do a little bit of light work on it. The laptop I have is pretty wimpy, so I'm not doing any video editing or anything on it.
Yeah.
But it does, the KDE version, it looks great. It looks, I noticed the difference immediately from like my the production system here. It's just the I call it sane but interesting defaults, which has been a hallmark of Ubuntu for a while. And KDE is ultimately like the ultimate customizable one, but I just run it because it's lightweight, not because it's customizable. I have enough other customizations like running, for example, on the audio system that I don't want to be screwing with too many other things. Well, the one thing that broke, but then it fixed like the next day was the redshift, like the blue light blocker. Yeah. But I updated the day that it came out. So that fixed itself, that fixed by itself on the updates the next day. I don't know if that was also true for the standard Ubuntu. I don't know if they use the same package for the Redshift or whatever, but I noticed that my laptop while I was streaming was a bit like the sun, even with the the screen volume, as I call it, turned down, a bit bright because the blue light was still in there. But other than that, other than it looking a little bit better, like nothing broke, it just so happened that Discord updated the same day. So I had to, update Discord, and I was like, well, maybe that has to do with, the system here. But then when I restarted the production computer, it also wanted to update Discord. So it had nothing to do with the update. Yeah, I didn't notice anything different, but like, I'm not like a power user on the computer that I'm doing it on, but I'm not seeing anybody screaming in all caps about it anywhere, like complaining about anything. And to be fair, though, most people aren't on the cycle that I'm on any other machines, right? Most people will go, they'll go 1804, 2004, 2204, 2404. Most people are on the LTS. Everybody I know who uses Ubuntu right now is actually on the LTS.
I'll have to admit, I'm not sure, but I assume LTS because it's whatever defaults to.
Yeah, it'll always, if you go to the Ubuntu website, it will always suggest the LTS to you.
Yeah.
It's not hard to find the other one. They don't bury it, but if you're just like, I want Ubuntu, by default it gives you the LTS, and you could imagine why they would do that.
Yeah.
They don't want you to have to do a whole like in place upgrade in 2 or 3 months, depending on where you are in the cycle. They want you to be able to sit on that for 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, I had a server that I had on 18.04 that I just had to upgrade to 20.04, and I was terrified. Absolutely terrified. But everything worked fine because the thing that was in there was in a container. So I just backed up the container on my other server to make sure that everything was, but I just restarted it and the wiki came back up. Hooray. My servers are never on the bleeding edge. I would never run this 23.04 on a server. I don't even know if they do it for servers. I would assume that they do for people who are doing like development and whatnot, so that folks are ready with their applications for the next LTS. But I would imagine that very few people actually install it on their server.
I assume for that you'd have like your test server, right? That might be on the bleeding edge that you want for testing new stuff, just in case. But yeah,
right. If whatever's in production is sitting on the rock solid LTS, right. And not for nothing, like everybody keeps talking about the year of the Linux desktop, but all silently while that was happening. Like Ubuntu specifically took over the entire server market. Like everybody, everybody's on it. Everybody's on it.
Yeah.
And it's bad because it's like sort of like you're locked in a way, but it's good because if you need help with something, then you're not like, everybody running the app that you're running is probably running it on Ubuntu, and they're probably even running it on the same LTS that you're running it on. So if you run into some kind of problem, you're going to get help. I just wish there was a little more competition. Like Red Hat's big in the enterprise, but the thing is, like, that's just for huge organizations. Like they don't, I don't think a lot of I can't imagine that like Google is running Red Hat for their stuff. I would assume they're probably running Ubuntu server or their own version of Ubuntu server or whatever.
They are I don't know what they do on their servers. It's probably their home, own rolled Linux stuff. For a lot of the desktops, they have something called Ubuntu, which I believe is the Google modified version of Ubuntu.
Yeah, and it's I would imagine it's not too entirely different than what I'm doing here with a heavily modified version of Kubuntu. Yeah. They have people in there writing their own software and stuff for it, obviously. But besides, other than that, like, they're still probably using most of the defaults. It's just things that Googlers want, or maybe they remove certain packages they don't want their employees using or whatever. It'd be interesting. I'd actually be interested to check out a Ubuntu machine just to kind of see what's there, what's not, and whatever. But I don't imagine many Googlers are too keen on the idea of me poking around their work laptop. In fact, I have a feeling that might get a person fired.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that. And it wouldn't be their laptop. It would be their desktop has it, and then they'd remote in from their laptop.
Oh, right. It's if you bring your own in that organization, if you use your own device, you're remoting into the. Yeah.
If you have your own device, you can't connect, so they'd still give you a laptop, but you don't like directly use the laptop for anything except remoting into your desktop.
And I imagine people use it for their laptop for some personal stuff too. Well, everybody does that, but
surfing the web mostly. Anyways,
good job, Canonical. Nobody complained. Usually people have all kind of complaints when one came out, and this one came out with like not a lot of fanfare and not a lot of complaints. So Canonical just keeps killing the game. I keep wanting to like be like, oh, I'm gonna be like a hipster and try some other kind of distribution, and then every time I think that, the next version of Ubuntu comes out and everybody's like, this is wonderful, and I'm like, well, why would I go anywhere else? And I've been using Ubuntu basically. The first Linux I ever tried was Slackware, but then I kind of didn't use Linux for a while, and then I used Debian for a while at work, and I really didn't like Debian, but that was a long time ago. Then basically once Ubuntu came out and people really started using it, I started using it, and then I switched to full-time Linux, except for the machine I DJ on. It must have been 10 or 12 years ago. I kind of haven't looked back. It's been difficult at times, but as long as you have like and it probably doesn't even matter as much anymore, but if you want to make sure you have a really clean Linux experience, just buy a ThinkPad. or get an buy off the shelf parts for a desktop and just make sure all of them are AMD, and you won't even have to install any proprietary drivers, and you'll be just fine. Little random things like if you install some like off-brand Thunderbolt card, it might not work, but if you buy a Thunderbolt card for your computer, just buy the damn Intel one. Spend a few extra bucks; it'll be well supported. So again, good job everybody over at Canonical. Always rumors of Microsoft buying Canonical. I hope those just stay rumors. Not too pleased about the idea of that company getting bought or even going public, because then their shareholders run the show, and I don't really like that. I kind of like it as a private company right now. They're not doing anything crazy. But speaking of a private company that is doing something crazy, here's the news about Twitter this week, and this one's pretty wild. People oftentimes criticize the Mormon Church for posthumously, I can never say that word, baptizing people into Mormonism after they're dead, which, I mean, those people don't care, but their families are probably pretty offended by it. I'd be pretty offended if like one of my, my mom or my dad or, my sister's younger than me, so heaven forbid my sister dies before I do. And then all of a sudden the Mormon Church goes, oh, they're Mormon now. I'd be like, well, no. So now I don't know if this is quite as bad as that, but it looks like Twitter has gone ahead and purchased Twitter Blue. I'm not sure they're purchasing it for it, but apparently Michael Jackson, Chadwick Boseman, Kobe Bryant, Barbara Walters, Anthony Bourdain, Paul Walker, and many more have somehow subscribed to Twitter Blue after they're dead. I find this a little bit creepy, and Musk also claims that he paid for LeBron James and Stephen King to have Twitter Blue. Those people aren't dead, but Stephen King wasn't too pleased about it.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? Like, the whole thing's dumb because the verification in the first place was so that like nobody impersonated, for example, Barbara Walters, or so that nobody, or more importantly, so nobody could impersonate your local news outlet.
Well, I mean, they've totally effed it up. Like, it's now the blue check basically means nothing except, you have money to waste on Twitter. Right.
Yeah. The funny one that I don't know if you know about Drill.
No.
It's a really famous Twitter account that seems almost prophetic in people, when anything weird happens, people go search through Drill's Twitter account, like using keywords, and they can almost always find something that almost directly applies to it. But it's like from 2016. The most famous one is he just posted, "I am not mad. Do not put in the newspaper that I am mad." And so Elon purchased Twitter Blue for that person, and that person has been playing a back and forth, I guess, with Elon, because if you change your name, like your display name, it removes the Twitter Blue thing until they could verify that it was you that changed the name. So he's been going through and changing his name to all kind of things. But then he said that where'd it go? It was pretty funny. So Drill says here something about he said that Elon had fired the person who would have told him that it's actually probably illegal to do this because you're suggesting that someone endorses your product and they do not.
Oh, yeah.
Because, if you buy if you're a celebrity and you buy Twitter Blue, that's an endorsement, right?
Yeah, at some level, yeah.
And so it was like, well, good thing he fired the person who would have told him that there's laws around endorsements and that you can't just endorse yourself for someone else. I don't think that anybody's going to go after Twitter for that, but it was just a funny thing that he said. And I don't know what's going on here. It just keeps getting worse and worse over there. I absolutely need it for what I'm doing. I can't not be on Twitter. I will say that my engagement is up. I get more followers now than I was getting before. I'm not a big Twitter account. I don't expect to ever be one, but my stuff's growing because I'm in the muck about this stuff and cracking jokes and, anybody's like, "Oh, you're a dumbass" or whatever. I'm like, "Well, you paid for Twitter." So I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. A lot of journalists are mad And I think like one of the reasons he bought Twitter was because the journalists didn't like him, and they all congregate there. That's just me speculating. And I think that this kind of really messes with news outlets. I think the actual harm being done here is that I could buy a blue check mark for a fake news channel 4 here in the Bay Area, and during a disaster, I could give people bad information. And or even send them to like, oh, do you need help? Here, give us your personal information. You know, if the news outlet was doing that, you'd be like, oh, well, maybe they're helping coordinate because they, you know, have a big megaphone around here. Like the news, you know, during a disaster, the news is like, here's a number you can call. They always do that. And so that's the real problem here. It isn't these celebrities' egos. It's, you know, the verification wasn't just for celebrities. It was for authoritative sources. And it was like, during a big earthquake, the old Twitter would have been amazing. It would, you would have found out so much stuff. I'd have found out like in South San Jose, where, you know, if I had no water, where can I get water in South San Jose? And I could probably find out on Twitter. Now I'm a little skeptical of whether or not I could find that out on Twitter. But I just think that this is creepy. Like doing this to dead people is creepy.
Well, if you need to know any information, you can just ask Bard.
Yeah, we could ask Bard or ChatGPT. I would hope that in a disaster, those things would just basically be like, you just had a big earthquake. I am not the place to get this information. Please contact your local authorities and good luck and be safe. Well, I don't know. It's been a week in tech, hasn't it? We're never going to run out of stuff for this show. It's not like the Sunday show where we're really never going to run out of stuff. But this show, there's always something happening. Tech's never boring. And I don't know. I guess that's the show. That was pretty quick. You want to read us out, Matt?
I guess so. I wasn't expecting it. So give me a second. So that was our show. How the tech are you? Hope you enjoyed it. If you're listening to it on your podcast or watching it on YouTube, it's great to have you. You should check out our website at echoplexmedia.com. That has links to all our other stuff. We got a lot of other stuff going on, a lot of other shows. If you want to watch our live shows, we're on twitch.tv/echoplexmedia. And of course, give us money at patreon.com/echoplex. We could really use the support. We're doing this all out of our own pocket and time. So please help us out. And have a great techin' week.